Thank you so much. I'm just looking for the pointer here. Hello everybody. My name is Nora Johnsmeyer and I am a video strategy lead at Google. So what that means is that I partner with top brands in the category to develop best-in-class creative, media, and measurement strategies for digital video. So today, one of the things that I'm going to talk about is a particular passion and focus of mine, and that is a lot of the creative experimentation that we're doing through our Unskippable Labs project. The intent of Unskippable Labs and the experiments that we perform, some are non-branded, some are in partnership with brands, is really to explore the way that ads and attention are evolving. And then, once we've kind of drawn some conclusive learnings and best practices, bring our observations back to all of you so that we can really deploy them for the best creative effectiveness possible on the YouTube platform. So, let's dive in. The reason our experimentation is so focused on creative is because though traditionally Google and other partners of ours have focused on targeting and media, we really see that creative is the strongest force multiplier you have. If you can improve your creative, you can see transformational gains in your campaign performance. So at this stage, Unskippable experiments have run almost 100 different experiments across the globe and across industries. So we're able at this point to draw some conclusions, and really we're only scratching the surface. But at this point, what can we say about what we think the future of brand advertising is? It's this idea that the moment is the message. So it's important to be present at those moments that matter, but we also have to be cognizant of the context. We have to be aware of who we're speaking to and what matters to them, what we mean to them or could mean to them as brands. And we have all these powerful intent signals and tools at our disposal in order to do this, but we're not yet connecting those all the time to the messages that we're delivering. Oftentimes, we are still deploying generic creative and expecting a user to respond to that, expecting that to resonate with them. But users have evolved to the point where they expect an experience that is immersive, it is personalized, it is totally connected. So as I said, while we're just at the beginning of learning what works best here, we do know that brands who have embarked on experimentation and really nailed it when it comes to connecting with users in a customized, personalized way have really seen huge impact. So we're going to talk through three main opportunities: visual language, going short, and tuning for audience. Visual language is really the first area that Unskippable Labs started testing. And that's the realm of the different tweaks or changes we can make to footage that already exists. And when we talk about visual language, we're really talking specifically about mobile device video viewership. By 2019, if 85% of internet usage is going to be video and 70% of that is going to be mobile, we need to be really focused on getting it right. So initially, when Unskippable Labs kicked off, we had a few questions or different hypotheses or business challenges that we set out to explore. And we did these without brands. We just filmed some footage and we put it in the YouTube ecosystem in order to see how users responded and what was resonating. And while we looked at elements like the presence of music, horizontal versus vertical orientation, framing, pacing, one of the key elements that stood out in terms of changing the impact that a campaign could have was framing. And that's largely because of screen size. So if you look here at some traditional ads, we see this kind of wide, sweeping shot. But one of the best things you can do with digital video is actually have close cropped shots, especially of people and faces. Klondike made some aggressive edits to existing footage and saw major gains to their key brand metrics. So on the top row here, what you see is the original ad, and then on the bottom row is simply a version that was sped up a little bit in terms of the pace and was zoomed in terms of the cropping and framing. And that actually led to 15% gains. So really we need to keep that small screen in mind. And one of the first things our team does when a brand sends over new creative and asks for feedback is we walk outside and we watch it on a mobile phone. And if the ad is dark, it's going to be nearly impossible to see most of the time. So make things bright, use a lot of contrast, make them pop. Let's talk about type and supers. This looks pretty standard. But if we take into consideration the context in which the audience is consuming it, all of a sudden it becomes very hard to decipher. So making small changes just to the size of the type can lead to a much better user experience. So again, those are all changes that can be made to existing footage. But if we think about building from the ground up, again with mobile in mind, one of the top places our experimentation has focused is on 6-second or bumper ads. We've done a lot of experiments in this space, and we get asked very often about best practices here. So, at the core, we really want to think through keeping 6-second ads as simple as possible. Don't try to squeeze a 30-second or 15-second ad into 6 seconds. Bumper ads can do one thing really well. They can do 2 things okay, but 3 things or more, just forget about it. Instead of thinking about squeezing a 30 down, it can be helpful to think about taking a print ad message or a successful billboard even, and using that to transform it into a bumper ad. And then if you think about the key messages or moments in your longer video ad or TV commercial, you can absolutely use those. One of the things we'll talk about in a moment is this idea that having several different bumper ads that together tell a holistic story can be very effective. So let's watch some examples. Again, 6 seconds, very simple, one feature.
Eggo waffles have no artificial flavors. It doesn't get any better than this.
So the key takeaway there, no artificial flavors. And personally, as a waffle lover, I know that Eggo could have chosen many different benefits to focus on, but they really kept it simple and focused on one key message. Now, oftentimes bumpers can feel a little bit rushed. They are, after all, just 6 seconds, and oftentimes brands try and squeeze in things like an offer at the end or a brand logo. And all of a sudden, that means that the actual story or message of the bumper ad is only a fraction of a second. So try to keep it simple and really hone in on one thought or feeling, or one joke.
Got a bedwetter?
That's me.
Tide Rescue eliminates tough odors.
So what works? Again, making several. If you think about that Tide ad that we just saw, they made several versions of that. The one we just saw was focused on parents. There was another one specifically for pet lovers. So they spoke to people who might respond to different features, but they all had the same look and feel. They told similar styles of jokes, but they didn't tell the same joke. And bumper ads don't have to work in a silo. If you think about pairing them with a display ad or a longer video ad, they can actually be really effective in telling your story in new ways. So here's how Sonos used a variety of bumper ads together to speak to different audience segments.
This is 50 pages long. I think I'm gonna have a panic attack.
So a look and feel, a message, you're better than this, that unites all of these and almost lets the user know what to expect when they're gonna see this, but gives them something new in terms of product features. So now instead of conveying everything in a 30-second ad, you're doing it in little bits that together tell a story. So finally, I'll take you through a recent experiment that looked at one of the biggest opportunities present today, and that's combining the forces of media and creative. As I mentioned earlier, we have all of these powerful intent signals that can now allow us to determine the right amount of customization to create the best user experience. We partnered with Covergirl here in order to investigate this question, and really they were a great partner for this because they were undergoing a brand relaunch that Fast Company called multicultural badassery. So at the time, Covergirl acknowledged that women had so many different facets, roles that they might play, aspects of their personality, but really a lot of the beauty industry was speaking to them just about makeup or beauty. So we designed an experiment that might allow us to delve into how much customization could impact brand metrics. It was designed like this. There was an overall control asset that was their core piece of video footage. We had targeting groups that were demographically targeted, so females 18 to 34, and then ones that got more specific to different audience segments, like fitness buffs, those women who are in market for dating apps, and then we use new life events targeting specifically to target women who might be looking for a new job. Then, Covergirl took the approach of looking at two different ways to customize their message. One was through copy only, so they took this core asset and just modified it with different copy specific to those audience segments. And then one changed up both the setting of the ad and the copy. So here's the control.
Covergirl, I am what I make up.
And then the versions of the copy: I am a gym unicorn, I sometimes swipe right, and boss, not like a boss. And then we'll see what the changes in setting look like as well. So here's what the experience might have been like for a fitness buff.
Covergirl, I am what I make up.
So that's a control with a small change to the copy.
Covergirl, I am what I make up.
And that's with the setting changed as well. For new job seekers, life event targeting.
Covergirl, I am what I make up.
And these are all 6-second ads. Those in market for dating apps.
Covergirl, I am what I make up.
So what were the findings? In all cases, audience targeting outperformed demo. So there are opportunities to really use some of those audience signals and the intent that they're expressing in order to speak to them in new and different ways. Life event targeting was the most effective overall. And custom creative outperformed, especially with younger audiences, which again suggests that those younger users are coming to expect and they're extremely receptive to a message that is more personalized. But the really interesting thing was that copy and visual, the two different variations, didn't have clearly differentiated impact. Meaning that even by taking your core assets and just modifying the copy, you can have an impact on brand metrics. So, to close, because of the evolution of the way that users are experiencing ads and their expectations for personalization, combined with all the tools that we have at our disposal in terms of audience and intent signals and different ad formats to orchestrate, means that we want to be thinking now about creative systems and not necessarily just creative concepts. Thank you very much.